checking the forecast, things looking crazy, a storm on the horizon, the pressure is low, gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls, we're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls, we're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling, you see, prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yes, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. EMA, let's get this show on the road. Let's get this show on the road, guys. What do you say? Welcome to the program, everyone. We're glad to have you here. This is Ron Tyler with the Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Welcome to the program, everybody. We're glad to have you here. Guys, we're going to talk about earthquakes most of the process today, most of the entire program today. I want to touch on two topics, okay? I want to touch on two topics. Number one, we have a Tepid ceasefire in Iran. About 4 hours before the Iran-US came to a conclusion, or the U.S. would come to a conclusion that we would bomb the snot out of Iran and literally, as President Trump put it, take Iran back into the 10th century. We would have knocked out their power, we would have knocked out all their oil supplies, and we've leveled all their bridges and any other infrastructure that they had. We would have taken them back to the 10th century, literally. They would have had nothing. Just a few hours before that, Iran came back and nearly surrendered, not quite, but nearly surrendered to the U.S. and Israel. They asked for a temporary ceasefire lasting approximately 14 days, a 2-week ceasefire. Now, Iran continued to violate that ceasefire last night. Iran continued to send missiles into Israel, literally violating the ceasefire. And yet Israel said they did not violate it. They only made it a temporary ceasefire to the United States, not Israel. Now, that has since come into heavy fire to Iran, and that may violate the temporary ceasefire order, even though President Trump said ceasefire. Iran didn't completely. Iran continued with Israel. That's not going to happen any longer. Okay? That cannot continue. One of the reasons we went in with Israel is to stop the bombing from Iran in Israel. Israel didn't start it. Iran did. Now this must come to a screeching halt. Otherwise, President Trump will unleash fury all over Iran, and Iran and Israel will take Iran. U.S. and Israel will take Iran completely down, and what they had made over the last 200-300 years will be history, total history. Now, I don't advocate that at all. What I advocate is completely ceasefire and Iran never ever attacking anyone else. Now, I know that's impossible. I, in my own mind, believe that's impossible. Okay, why? Because Islam is not a friendly religion. Islam is not a friendly tenet. Okay, why? Because Islam, the total theory was Islam would be to take over the entire world, to be controlling the entire world. That's what Islam has been doing. Okay, Islam has taken over England, literally. Islam has taken over Spain. Islam has taken over most of the countries in Europe, but some countries still are holdouts, not allowing Islam to do it. And in fact, they've also been taking out Islam in their own countries. The U.S. says they're not going to tolerate it, but they have already been doing that. Islam has taken over several cities throughout the United States, complete takeovers. For example, over in Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, Islam took over in Dearborn, Michigan. Even the police department. The police department enforces Sharia law in Dearborn, Michigan. All of the license plates, all of the signs throughout Dearborn, Michigan have turned into Islamic signs. Street signs, public interest signs, restaurant signs, hotel signs. Everything is in Islamic language. Now, they've been trying to do that over in New York, and so far it's failed. They have an Islamic mayor in New York. They have an Islamic assistant mayor. They have several other key positions that are Islamic controlled. Now, they're trying to do that. They're trying to put the police department out of business and have Sharia law police. That so far has not happened. So far. But they're trying. The head of their public service department is an Islamic person. Everybody's doing that, okay? But it's not going to continue. They tried to do it in California, several different cities throughout California. It's failed. Yes, they have many Islamic mosques in California. They started putting up mosques in Texas. Now it's going down. Now Islamic mosques are going down, okay? They tried to erect a town, completely Muslim town, and that has failed. Completely failed. Texas is not going to allow it. Okay? They want to take over the United States. I don't think it's going to happen. It could, but I don't think it's going to happen. Why? Because there's too many of us rednecks. Too many of us don't want it to happen. We want to remain under our own control. That's why the U.S. citizens back in 1776 had a war to separate itself from England. Okay? We separate ourselves from England because we did not want to be controlled by the King of England and the England State Church. They wanted freedom of religion. That was their primary basis. They wanted freedom of religion and freedom from the king. They've got it. They established our own country here in the United States. Now, 300 years later, Islam's coming in, almost 300 years later, Islam's coming in and they want to take over. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay? President Trump has agreed to 2 weeks, 14 days. Okay? Again, Iran has violated that and continued to attack Israel. That's not going to continue. Also, the Hezbollah fortresses in Lebanon have continued to bomb out Israel, and Israel is continuing to bomb out Lebanon. Lebanon is governed by Islamic law. Okay? Again, they're trying to do it from another city, another country. Okay? I don't think they're going to go very far. Okay, I might be mistaken, but I don't think they're going to go very far. But that's what's going on. There's a 2-week ceasefire now in Iran. Now, I had some very great reservations when that was first announced last night. Why? Because I believe, just like Iran has been doing, they had 10 days. President Trump agreed to 10-day ceasefire, and all of a sudden, Iran starts right back in on it. That's what I think is going to happen now. The mullahs of Iran started pulling back on their freedom fighters, Islamic Revolutionary Guard, and said, okay, we're going to stop firing. We're not going to retaliate. We're not going to do anything. What I think they're doing is they're going to try to ramp up control, and then once they even get near the 2-week ceasefire boundary, they're going to get out, all for show. They're going to go in full force again. That's what I believe is going to happen. And if that happens, woe be unto Iran, because the Islamic State is under fire. All the other states around Iran are going to come into it with the United States and Israel and totally annihilate Iran. Okay? Iran is also told to be opening up the Strait of Hormuz to allow oil flow, the oil tankers be able to come out of, and oil tankers and other ships to come out of the Gulf of Arabia and then go out into the world. Now, Iran has also leveled up a bounty for lifting the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? They said they want $1 million for every ship to pass through the strait. I don't think that's going to fly either. We'll see what happens here. Okay? But that's what's going on. I want to put you guys all on notice on what's happening with that. Also, I want to primarily start talking about earthquakes. Now, I'm not going to go all 2 hours. I'm hopefully not even going to go an hour. But I want to talk about earthquakes the rest of the evening. Okay? Now, I'm going to start off with the USGS map in the beginning. I want to talk about what earthquakes have already happened today. I'm also going to talk about earthquakes around the world and why they happen. Okay, that's where we're going to this broadcast. I've taken down our EMA banner here. I'm going to take down our webcam for a few minutes till we get through talking about earthquakes here. Up on your map right now, on the USGS map that we're putting up here, we have earthquakes here in the Pacific Basin, what they call the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is about 25,000 miles long from over in Southeast Asia, including down in the Pacific Islands, all the way to the west to Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, Burma area, up through Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, going up into China and Russia to the Kamchatka Peninsula, all the way up here to Alaska, and all the way down the east side here to the west side of the Canada and the United States, Mexico, Central America, all the way down into South America here. Notice this. This is just one more time that the USGS says nothing's going on in South America. There are 49 earthquakes here in South America. USGS didn't show one of them. Not a single one. That's horse feathers. Okay? It's wrong. There are plenty of earthquakes here. Now I'm going to go over here and talk about earthquakes, okay? Right now I'm going to talk about earthquakes here in the South Pacific. 99.9% of the time, all earthquakes originate down here in the South Pacific Ocean. Okay? There's a lot of reasons for that. I'm going to be talking about that. Today, USGS is avoiding showing earthquakes here in New Zealand. That's a poppycock as well. There are 32 earthquakes here in New Zealand. Going up further north, okay? I want to talk about this. This is a 4.3 earthquake here, south of the Fiji Islands. 4.3 moderate earthquake here. Now this is a semi-deep earthquake. This is 334 miles deep. Semi-deep earthquake. Okay? This is not going to birth an earthquake as other earthquakes that are deeper do. Very deep earthquakes birth other shallower and stronger earthquakes. This earthquake is not going to do that today. Now, over here, this is a 4.0. 4.0, 4.9 earthquakes are moderate earthquakes. This is a 4.0. This is 352 miles deep. 352 miles deep. Okay? 4.0 earthquake. Okay? Now, I don't think this is going to birth an earthquake either. A shallower, stronger earthquake. I don't think it's going to happen. We go over here to Vanuatu, southern Vanuatu, New Caledonia area. This is a large 5.1 earthquake. 6.2 miles deep, 10 kilometers deep. Large earthquake here. Let's zoom in here. This is out in the Pacific Ocean here. There is no one here on any islands that are anywhere near this earthquake. 62 miles east of Tepid, New Caledonia. 5.1 large earthquake, very shallow earthquake. Okay? Very shallow earthquake. Look where this earthquake is. See this tectonic plate? Seismic energy follows the edge of the plates. Seismic energy follows the edge of the plate. In this case, this large energy here is going to go further north up here into Vanuatu or the Solomon Islands. It's going to follow it north here into Vanuatu or Solomon Islands here. Okay? Then we go north here. Go figure. This is a large 6.2 mile deep earthquake, 10 kilometers deep again. Shallow earthquake. Large shallow earthquake. This is 90 miles southeast of Kirikiri, Solomon Islands. Okay? Now, look at this. This is 91 miles southeast of Kirikiri, Solomon Islands. Again, what has happened here? This earthquake is on the edge of the tectonic plate here. This is on the edge of the tectonic plate here. This seismic energy is going to follow to the northeast here, northwest here. It's going to go over here further into either the Solomon Islands or it's going to continue over here into Papua New Guinea. Okay, that's where this earthquake is going. Again, the seismic energy follows the tectonic plates, the edge of the plates here. Okay, let's scroll out here. USGS is not showing any earthquakes at all here in Papua New Guinea. There are some minor earthquakes here in Papua New Guinea today. Minor small earthquakes here in Papua New Guinea. The same thing over on the other side of Papua New Guinea, Papua Indonesia. Okay? But USGS is not showing anything like that. Let's go down here. Okay? This is east of Java. This earthquake is east of Java now. Okay? Down here in the south. Okay? This is a large 4.9, 5.0 earthquake. I told you 4.0, 4.9 are moderate earthquakes. When we have a 4.9 earthquake listed by USGS, we tend to go up another magnitude. Why? Because USGS continues to falsify data. They reduce the size of the earthquakes to the next nearest 0.9. They reduce the size of the earthquakes to the nearest 0.9. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. The United States Geological Survey is enforcing its 0.9 society. 0.9 society is alive and well with USGS. It's been that way for years. Now notice this. USGS is only showing one other earthquake here in Indonesia. There are 62 earthquakes here in Indonesia today. 62. They're showing 2 earthquakes here. Okay, right here. This is a 4.6 earthquake here. Okay, this happens near Belitung, Indonesia. 81 miles east-southeast of Belitung, Indonesia. 4.6 more earthquake. Okay, let's zoom into it. Want to show you where it's at. Okay, it's out here in the ocean again, right between 2 islands here. Right smack dab between 2 islands here. 81 miles east-southeast of Belitung, Indonesia to the north. Now, guys, this is a moderate earthquake. Where it's at, I don't believe anybody felt any kind of seismic energy here at all. Why? Because the ocean waters absorb the shockwaves of the quake. The ocean waters here absorb the shockwaves of the quake. Yes, there are other earthquakes here as well. But again, USGS is not going to show them. And quite honestly, they're just small or moderate earthquakes. Small or moderate earthquakes here. Okay? Usually they don't even show 4.0, 4.9. They are showing 1. They're basically only showing 1 or 2 here. There are a lot of earthquakes here. A ton of them. Now, before we go out into the Pacific Basin, I'm going to give you some information about the Pacific Basin in just a second. We go through China. There are earthquakes here in China today, and they're not showing them. Why? Because either the USGS has not gotten any information from China, or again, the USGS has decided they don't want to show them. It goes both ways. Okay? We have seismic energy that they have shown us here, over here in the Middle East. Okay? Right here. This is a moderate 4.3 earthquake here. Okay? This is 86 miles deep. 86 miles deep, guys. 4.3 moderate earthquake here. This is 34 miles east of Jirum, Afghanistan. 4.3 earthquake here. Now again, we've shown earthquakes here before. We've talked about this. I want to talk about this again. In case we have people that haven't seen this program before, I want to be very thorough here, because I want everybody to understand what's happening. This is a very mountainous region of Afghanistan. These people who live here are in tents or live in camps inside of tunnels or caves. Okay, that's where they live. They're very nomadic. Okay, this seismic energy it's here in Afghanistan today, comes out of Indonesia down here. Comes out of Indonesia here. Why? Because that's how these tectonic plates work. Again, the seismic energy follows a tectonic plate. Down here is south of Java here, south of Java, Indonesia, goes up through south of Sumatra, going all the way up here into Myanmar, Thailand area. Thailand, Myanmar here. They show Burma here, but it's called Myanmar today. Seismic energy comes up here through Myanmar, near the edge of India here, goes further north here until it gets to the Himalaya Mountains. The Himalaya Mountains are the edge of the plate here. These Himalaya Mountains here, north of India and south of China here, the Nepal area here, is the edge of the plate. Himalaya Mountains. So this energy climbs through Myanmar area, goes over here through the Himalaya Mountains. Sometimes they drop earthquakes in India, Nepal area, southern China. But in this case, this energy came over here to Afghanistan. Afghanistan. This earthquake, again, is a 4.3 moderate earthquake. Now, anywhere these kind of earthquakes hit, we had a 6.1 earthquake almost a year ago. Actually, not a year ago, about 7 months ago, here in Afghanistan. 6.1, very strong earthquake. Okay? Yes, that 6.1 was 200 times stronger than this one. Okay, but moderate earthquakes in normal circumstances cause moderate damage. Moderate earthquakes of this size usually knock pictures and stuff off of walls, knock knickknacks and books off of shelves, and cause other people to have their furniture moved across their floors. Okay? But again, they're calling this a 4.3 earthquake. USGS has lied about the size of the earthquakes before. This could be larger. This could be a large earthquake, possibly even 4.5. As I've explained before, USGS has said a 4.5 in Los Angeles just that. All the damage was looking at a 5.0 or large earthquake. 5.0 large earthquake. That can still be applied here, I don't know. But this earthquake, because of these people living like they do, this size earthquake can cause a lot of damage. Could cause a lot of damage. It could also injure people. One more earthquake further north here. This is the 4.4 in Tajikistan. Again, these people here in Tajikistan are nomads for some part of them. Some part of them are nomads. They're living in mud huts. Some of them live in tents and even caverns, caves. These people have it rough. They have it very rough. A 4 anything earthquake can cause a lot of damage. This is a 4.4 compared to the 4.3 in Afghanistan. This earthquake can still cause a lot of damage. This also is 7.7 miles deep, just over probably 6.5 to 7 kilometers. Not 6.5, 10 kilometers, 11 kilometers deep. Okay, 4.4 earthquake, 7.7 miles deep, close to 11 kilometers deep. Okay, shallow earthquake. Very shallow earthquake here. Okay, now they're not showing much of anything else throughout the Middle East. Not showing hardly anything. Over here in the Caspian Sea, this is Azerbaijan. Okay, the Caspian Sea here, this is Azerbaijan. This is a large 5.6 earthquake. Here in the Caspian Sea, it's also along the edge of the plate here. The edge of the plate here. Okay, as I said before, these earthquakes that come out of the Himalaya Mountains are on the edge of the plate. The plate is in several pieces here. One part of the plate follows these mountains here to the west here, goes through the Caspian Sea and over here under the south side of the Caspian Sea and goes over here. That's why this earthquake happened here. Okay? The other part of the plate goes further to the north here. Right here. Then the seismic energy follows this part of the plate and goes here to the north and further to the west. That's how this works. Okay? In this case, this earthquake is at the bottom of this plate here, going over here to the Caspian Sea in Azerbaijan. Now this seismic energy is going to continue to the west here, along the edge of the plate here. Notice where it's at. Notice where this earthquake is at. Iran. Azerbaijan on the north side of Iran. That's not good. That's not good. This is the edge of the plate here. You can see it. You can see it. All the way over here. All the way over here. Turkey. Northern Turkey. Notice that they're not showing any earthquakes here in northern Turkey at all. None. They're not showing any earthquakes over here, the Turkey-Syria border region. There are about 36 earthquakes here in the Turkey-Syria border region. Okay? These are aftershocks of a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that happened over 3 years ago. February 3rd, 2023. They had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here. We still are having aftershocks from that earthquake today. Okay? A lot of those earthquakes are 1.1 to 1.3, 1.7, 1.9. There's also quite a few minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9. There's a couple smaller ones of 3.0 to 3.5 small quakes. They're still aftershocks. Okay? Aftershocks in this region will head off for years now. They're going to continue on for years. Turkey here has probably 150, 200 earthquakes to the north, to the south, and to the west. Primarily, right up here to the north. We've talked about this also before. Again, this is over on the edge of the plate here. Northwestern Turkey. We have about 60, 70 earthquakes here. Why? Because we consistently continue to have 5.0 to 5.3 earthquakes here. We even had a 5.5 about 2 months ago here in northwestern Turkey. Earthquakes throughout this region. As long as those 5.0 large earthquakes happen, we're going to see progressively more and more swarms of earthquakes in this region. Some aftershocks, some new shocks. That's what happens here. Okay? Then we come over here to the western side of Turkey here. West of Turkey here are islands here. These islands are called the Dokkanese Islands here. The Dokkanese Islands. The Dokkanese Islands belong to Greece. Here we have about 30 earthquakes here on the western side of Turkey, and some of those earthquakes are off in the Dokkanese Islands belonging to Greece. The islands are in what they call the Aegean Sea. The Aegean Sea here. We continue to have earthquakes here in the Aegean Sea. Over here, there are also 2 earthquake faults here in the Aegean Sea. But the earthquakes here are not related to the earthquake faults. The earthquakes here are related to magma down beneath the surface here. Magma from volcanoes going towards volcanoes here in the Aegean Sea. Every one of these islands here, as well as other islands of the Pacific or Atlantic, originate from volcanoes. They originate from volcanoes. Now we have some minor tremors here. Magma down beneath the surface trying to find its way to erupt. It's hitting bedrock, fracturing bedrock beneath the surface of the ocean here, the Aegean Sea. As long as that magma is down there hitting bedrock, we're probably going to be fine. Yes, we've had some 2.0, 2.5s. Yes, we've had some larger 4.5 earthquakes here in the Aegean Sea here. That might very well continue. But right now, all these earthquakes are minor tremors and minor earthquakes. Not a big deal right now. But again, there's magma down beneath the surface of the ocean, down beneath the floor of the ocean, trying to find its way to a place where it could erupt. If it erupts in the ocean, it could start a new island. Or it could erupt through a volcano and enlarge the island surface. Okay, that can happen. But when we come over here to Greece, okay, coming over here to Greece, several things are happening here. Okay, down here, south of Crete, Greece. See the edge of the plate here, south of Crete, Greece? That edge of the plate comes down here from the Turkey-Syria border region here. It's called the Anatolian Plate, Anatolian Fault. Drops down here into the eastern or into the western Mediterranean. Then it comes down here south of Cyprus. Then it turns west here, west of Cyprus. Continues west over here, goes south of Crete, Greece. Then it comes and turns a northwest turn here, goes up towards Greece. Yes, we have an earthquake here. right here. Okay? This happens to be a 4.8 moderate earthquake. 4.8 moderate earthquake. This is a very shallow quake. 6.2 miles, 10 kilometers deep. Not a big deal. But it's also on the edge of the plate here. This seismic energy here is going to continue up here to the western side of Greece, while that's not the only earthquake that's here, though. There are approximately 20 other earthquakes. I believe it was 18 earthquakes at my latest count about noon today. 18 other earthquakes in Greece. Quite a few earthquakes up here, right in this area. The Gulf of Corinth area. Again, look where it's at. This area is also the edge of the plate up here. The edge of the plate here. Okay? But again, USGS is not showing the earthquakes. We have to go to the EMSC map, the European map. We see all kinds of earthquakes here. They're not showing them. Now, this same fault where we showed you this earthquake here, it's going to go up here to the north into Italy. Going to go north into Italy here. Now, look how it breaks off here. It goes south here through the Ionian Sea here. Then it goes over here towards Sicily. Comes up here into Sicily. Okay? Now, given that, we have earthquakes over here. We have some volcanic eruptions. Stromboli and Mount Etna are erupting here. Stromboli and Mount Etna are erupting here in the islands here just north of the foot of the boot of Italy, right here. Stromboli volcano, Mount Etna are erupting. Okay? Let's go up here in Italy. USGS not showing any earthquakes here. That's a crying shame. That's a real crying shame here. Now, guys, there are earthquakes here. Okay? All kinds of earthquakes here in Italy. USGS not wanting to show them. That's where they're wrong. That's where they're really wrong. Okay? Not wanting to identify earthquakes opens them up to a lot of trash. A lot of trash. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. I want you to understand what's going on here. Okay? Right now, I'm going to open up our webcam here. I want to show you earthquakes here in Sicily and Italy here. There's a reason. Okay? Over around here in Sicily, look at all these earthquakes here. Southeastern Sicily here. This is a 1.9 2.0 earthquake here. 1.9 2.0 earthquake here. 1.9 tremor 2.0 earthquake. Okay? That's happened at 11:02 last night. Okay? We go north. Northern Sicily near the Italy border. This is a 1.3 tremor here. Okay? North there over into the ocean. Over there in the ocean here. Okay? This is a 1.5 tremor here. 1.5 tremor here. Now again, these earthquakes here, if you look at it, they are very close to those two volcanoes here. They're very close to Mount Etna and Mount Stromboli. 1.5 tremor there. Now, one more earthquake here. 2.1. 2.1 minor earthquake here. And one more north of Sicily here. This is near Santa Flavia, Sicily. This is a 0.8 microquake. 0.8 microquake here. Now, let's go back to southern Italy here. In the ankle of the boot. Over here in the ankle of the boot here. See the sole of the boot here? Go up here to the ankle of the boot. Okay? We have Calabria, Italy. This is a 0.7 microquake. Okay? Just south there. Two more earthquakes here, actually three. This is a 1.1 tremor here. Okay. Also, a 0.5 microquake out here to the west. This is a 1.6 tremor here. Okay. Now, I want to go north here. Now, this is an earthquake near Naples, Italy. Near Naples, Italy. Campifogre. Campifogre. We have a 1.1 tremor here. Now, I have real issues with USGS not showing what's happening here. I have real issues with it. Why do I have issues? Can anybody tell me why I have issues with this? Earthquake over here near Naples. We have a volcano, guys. We have a volcano. It's rumbling. It's steaming again. It's steaming again. Notice that USGS is not showing it steaming any longer. They should show it steaming. They're not showing it steaming anymore. They don't want anybody to believe what's going on. This earthquake is moving. This volcano is moving, guys. It's not going to stop. It's going to continue. It slows down, but I don't think it stops at all. The magma is down beneath the volcano, and the volcano is moving. Yes, we have harmonic waves here, harmonic tremors. We also have tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes. We have had 4.0, 4.5 earthquakes around the volcano. It's happened. These people here are very concerned. Now, there was some talk of them last week, evacuating people around the volcano. Evacuating people around the volcano. Now, guys, I'm going to zoom in here and show you what I'm talking about here. There are thousands upon thousands of people who live here. This is southern Vesuvius. Western Vesuvius, still people living here. People over here to the east. All over here. Going up here to the north. This is a very urban area. Now, if they tried to evacuate people here, yes, they have evacuated some. Some of those people stayed evacuated. They know what's going to happen here. They know at some point in time what's going to happen here. Last time this volcano really started getting going was last year. They had 4.5, 4.6 earthquakes here. People were so scared they were sleeping in their cars. Why were they sleeping in their cars? Because they didn't want to be caught inside their homes and trying to evacuate from their homes. This time they're already in their cars. They can easily evacuate to some point where they can get away. But guys, what happens? What happens when a volcano erupts? There's ash. There's ash. There's volcanic gases. Volcanic gases. SO2 and CO2, carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide. That's very dangerous in very limited places. If they get in a valley, for example, the carbon dioxide and the sulfur dioxide fall into the valley. They're heavier gas than oxygen. People in that valley are going to be hard pressed to either get out or die in that valley. Because carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide is so strong, it overcomes them. It takes oxygen out of the atmosphere, out of their bodies, and they die. They're not going to survive. Now, they might have some limited possibility of survival. If they're already in their cars and near the cars, they can start up the cars and get the heck out of Dodge. Now, at some point in time, that philosophy probably is going to not be possible. Because at some point in time, that ash, when up in the air, is going to come down, and it's going to come down on the streets and roads and highways. And those highways are going to become slick from volcanic ash and glass that's come up from the volcano. The volcanic ash and volcanic glass falls on the roadways. The roadways become very slick. And then there's accidents. When we have accidents, we have stalled traffic jams. Then the people are stuck. Okay? Italian authorities have been very active in this. Yes, they've already evacuated some people. And now people are on edge again. Things calmed down for a time last year. Now they're ramping up again. Okay? They still believe this volcano is going to erupt, and it's very possible. Very possible. But I want to put this out because nobody else is talking about it. Very few other people, I think maybe one or two other people are talking about this, but that's all. I want to put this out. There's a very good possibility this volcano could erupt at any time. Anytime. All the volcanoes around the world are recharging. All the volcanoes around the world are recharging. Okay? Some volcanoes are going to recharge faster than others. Some volcanoes not going to erupt faster than others. Some are going to be slower. But at some point in time, the volcanoes are going to erupt. And now this one looks like it's going to possibly erupt again. USGS is not showing this volcano trying to erupt at all. Europeans are concerned because the Europeans are showing it. Europeans are showing earthquakes. Okay? Now, up here in north central Italy right here, I want to show you this. There's approximately 35 earthquakes here. 35 earthquakes here in north central Italy. Why? We have swarms of earthquakes again. We've talked before about swarms. When we have a swarm of earthquakes, there's a possibility of a large earthquake happening. That's the case here. We had swarms here about 2 years ago, and within a several month time, we had a 5.1 earthquake here. 5.1 earthquake here. It's going to happen again. Earlier last year, we had another 5.0 earthquake. It can happen again. These swarms of earthquakes are continuing, not stopping at all. Not stopping at all. Just to let you know, some of these earthquakes are as small as 1.60 tremor. Okay? Let's go up here to the north. This is near Umbria, Italy. 0.7 microquake. There are also microquakes here. Here is Tuscany. 1.0 tremor here. We have some 2.5s, 2.6s here, if I can find them here. Marche, Italy. Marche, M-A-R-C-H-E. This is a 0.8 microquake here. Like I said, I've seen some 2.5s and 2.4s and 2.6s here. Right now, I can't point them out because I'm not hitting them, but they're here. Okay? Going up to the north. Up to the north. Actually, before we get there, let's go over here to the west here. West central Italy. This is Tuscany, 3 miles north, Monterey, Tuscany, Italy. This is a 1.5 tremor here. 1.5 tremor here. Okay? Now, let's go north. I want to go over here to the Southern Alps. Southern Alps right here in Italy. See Breccia, Bergamo, Verona, Italy. This is Tyrol, Italy. 1.1 tremor here. Southern Alps. Okay? We go a little bit further here into the Central Alps. Central Switzerland. 0.6 microquake here. Okay? Now, just for kicks and giggles, let's further go over here to the west to the resort areas of Italy. right here. Piedmont, Italy, 1.6 tremor here. While we're here in the Alps, back here in Switzerland, okay? Switzerland, Germany, border area. We have a 1.5, we have a 0.9, and 0.7 microquake here. 3 minor tremors and a microquake here. This earthquake is in the France-Germany border area, right here. Okay. Further to the north, Germany, Moorsdorf, Germany, 0.7 microquake here. Okay. Further to the south and west, southwest here, right this area here. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquake near Copier, France. South of Copier, Chinook-Otokani, in France. 2.0 minor earthquake here. Up here to the north, looked up France, 2.2 minor earthquake. Further north here, Argenteuil, France, 2.4 minor earthquake. Right next to it, this is a 2.3 minor earthquake there. France has earthquakes. USGS not showing anything here at all. Nothing. Not a thing. I want to go into Spain now. Right here, the border area, Spain and France are not showing any earthquakes, and the EMSC, the European agency, is not showing any earthquakes either. Okay? Let's go into southern Spain. Right here. Okay? Offshore here. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake right there. Okay? For the south here, 3 earthquakes. This is a 1.5 tremor here. Go south, 2 more earthquakes. We have a 2.0 minor earthquake right there. And then for the south, a 2.6 minor earthquake there. 2 minor earthquakes right here. Okay? Now, I want to show England here. I want to talk about England in just a few minutes. I want to show England here, the United Kingdom. No earthquakes here in the United Kingdom at all. None in England, none in Wales, Scotland, or Dublin, Ireland. Nothing. The European agency is not showing anything either. That's usually the case here in England, in the British United Kingdom. Nothing. In Sweden, Norway, Denmark region here, you can see Copenhagen here on the map. They're not showing any earthquakes in Copenhagen at all. But Norway, southern Norway, Agder, Norway, we have a 1.5 tremor here. Going up into Sweden, east central Sweden, Örebro County, where I used to live. I used to live in Örebro. This is a 1.3 tremor here in Örebro, Sweden. Going south over here, southeast into Finland, Russian border area. This is a 2.1 earthquake here. We go north here. This is Kainuu, Finland. Kainuu, Finland. Kainuu, Finland. 1.3 tremor here. Okay. 1.3 tremor here in Finland. Then we go up to Sweden again. Norrbotten, Sweden. Norrbotten is North County, Sweden here. Central Norrbotten, Sweden. This is a 1.1 tremor here. We never used to hear about earthquakes in Sweden, Norway, or Denmark, or Finland. Now we have earthquakes. Go figure. Okay? Never used to happen. Never had to worry about it. Let's go way north. Way north here. Right between Svalbard and Greenland here, in the Greenland Sea. This is a 3.5 earthquake right there in the Greenland Sea. 4.5 earthquake here. 4.5 moderate earthquake here. Notice where it's at. This is on the edge of the plate here. The mid-Atlantic plate here in the Greenland Sea. The mid-Atlantic plate is expanding. The mid-Atlantic plate is expanding. I'm going to talk a little bit about the mid-Atlantic plate expanding. Okay? USGS and European agencies not reporting any earthquakes here in Iceland. Nothing here in Iceland. But south of Iceland right here. They call this the Reykjanes Ridge. We have a 4.7 moderate earthquake there. 4.7 earthquake here. This is east of Greenland, southeast of Greenland here. 4.7 earthquake here. Then we go further south here. Go further south here to the mid-Atlantic here. Okay? We have earthquakes here. There's a reason. Okay? They're calling this the Azore Islands here. They're calling earthquakes here in the North Mid-Atlantic here, coming out of Portugal area here. The Azore Islands here. We have a 2.3 earthquake right there. And another minor earthquake here, also 2.3 earthquake here. Yes, they have islands here. They do have islands here. Again, these islands are volcanoes. These islands are volcanoes. About 2 years ago, one of these islands here looked like the volcano here was going to erupt. This island right here. They thought the volcano was going to erupt, so they evacuated the island. The volcano did not erupt at all. Okay? Again, all islands are a result of volcanoes. They are a result of volcanoes here. Okay? 2 earthquakes there in the Western Azores. Then we go further south here in the Mid-Atlantic, right here. Okay? Yesterday we had an earthquake down in the South Sandwich Islands. I told you then the seismic energy was going to work its way up through the South Mid-Atlantic, and then probably another 2 weeks from now, we'd have an earthquake here in the North Mid-Atlantic here. This is in the Central Mid-Atlantic here. Okay? This is a 4.8 earthquake here. This is a 4.8 earthquake. Now, this earthquake here is not any relationship, has no relationship at all with the seismic energy here in the South Sandwich Islands. But sometime last week, we had another 5.0 earthquake here in the South Atlantic. This is a result of that earthquake here. This is a 4.8 moderate earthquake here. Okay? Now, as I showed you before, USGS says there's nothing going on over here in South America. They are wrong. They are wrong. I believe there are at least 42, maybe 45 earthquakes here in South America. Most of those earthquakes here in the Chile, Argentina border area, going up into northern Chile and Bolivia. That's where all these earthquakes are. I'm only going to point out a couple of them. I'm only going to show you a couple of them. That's what's important here. This one, for example, way down south. This is a 2.5 minor earthquake here. 2.5 minor earthquake near Los Lagos, Chile. We go north. O'Higgins, Chile, down here in the southwestern side of the Andes Mountains, foothills of the Andes Mountains. That's a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. South there, Nuble, Chile, 3.0, small earthquake. 3.0, small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9, small earthquakes here. Okay, we go north. Off the coast of Valparaiso, Chile, central Chile, another 3.0 earthquake. All these earthquakes here are going to be 3.0, 3.5, 3.7, and 4.0 earthquakes. Central Chile. Central Chile. USGS not showing one of them. Nothing. Then we go into northern Chile here. Look at all these earthquakes here. They're not talking about any one of these earthquakes at all. Nothing. Provincia de León, over here in Argentina, 3.1 earthquake here. 3.1 earthquake here. This is Parque Grande, Argentina, 3.4 small earthquake here. Okay, going north. Now we are in Bolivia. Bolivia, this is a 3.0 earthquake here in southwestern Bolivia. Okay, I'm just pointing out some earthquakes, not all of them. Tarapacá County of Chile, 3.0 earthquake here. Let's go north here. Also Tarapacá, 2.8 minor earthquake here. Okay, right here, 2.5. All these earthquakes here, just for kicks and giggles right now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 35, 36 earthquakes here in Chile alone. 36 earthquakes here in Chile alone. Then we go up into Peru, southern Peru. This is a 3.8 earthquake here in southern Peru. Northern Peru, 4.0 moderate earthquake here. 4.0 moderate earthquake here. Okay. Then let's go up into northern Colombia. Northern Colombia, where we have here. Right up here. Northern Colombia. Santander, Colombia. 3.2 earthquake here. Right next to it. A 2.8 and another 3.3. 3.8, 3.3, and 2.8 right there. South of there. This is also considered to be Santander, Colombia. We have a 3.4 earthquake there. Going north. Bethel, Dupage, a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake right there. South of there. Now we're in Venezuela. 2.2 earthquake here. Notice where this earthquake is. Yes, it's in Venezuela. This is also the edge of the plate here. The edge of the plate. Okay? Up here to the north of that. Noreste de Uano. 3.4 earthquake there. One more. 1.9, 2.0. All of these earthquakes in South America. USGS not showing one of them. Then out in the islands offshore of northern Venezuela and Guyana. This is a 2.4 earthquake right there. Okay. All kinds of earthquakes here. And yet USGS not showing one of them. Not one of them. 42 earthquakes here. 42. US not showing one of them at all. Central America, right here. El Salvador. They're showing a 4.2 earthquake here. I'm sorry, guys. That doesn't cut it. Between Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Nicaragua, going up into Guatemala, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24 earthquakes. 24 earthquakes, you guys. USGS shows 0. I'm sorry, they show 1. They show 1 earthquake. Then we come over here, southern Guatemala, 3.6 earthquake here. .6 earthquake there. Several earthquakes. 4.0, 3.5, 4.0, 3.6, 3.7. Then we go north into Mexico. Go north into Mexico. This is just southern Mexico, guys. That's just southern Mexico. Now, I want to pay particular attention to one place here in southern Mexico. We've shown this before to you. Actually, we have shown it before to you. But right now, we're going to show you what happens here. We're going to show you what happens here. Right over here, southern Mexico. We have a volcano. Have a volcano, guys. Look at the earthquakes near this volcano here. Completely surrounding the volcano here. To the north, 1.7 tremors. Yes, 99% of these are tremors. 1.0, 1.9. Tremors here. 2.2. 2.2 minor earthquake. 1.9. 2.4. On the northern rim of the volcano, we have a 1.8. Going up on the other side, the north side of the volcano, we have a 2.5. Then we have a 3.1. 3.1, an increase in seismic energy here. Why? Magma is forcing its way to the surface. Magma is down here below the volcano trying to force its way to the surface here. Interesting. That magma is 1.5 miles deep. 1.5 miles deep, nearly 2 kilometers deep. On the southern edge of the volcano, the southern rim of the volcano, here we have a 2.2. Okay? We have a 2.4, a 2.8, and just over here to the north, this is a 2.5. So all around the ring of the volcano, all around the rim of the volcano, we have minor earthquakes. And to the south and north, we have the south and east, we have tremors here. Tremors. Further to the south, there's a 2.0 minor earthquake there. Okay. Further to the south, here's another 2.2 earthquake there. Further to the south, this is another 2.2. Why are we having minor earthquakes this far south? Because, guys, where is the magma coming from? Where is the magma coming from? See that 2.0 there? That's 2.020 plus earthquakes there. That's a volcano. Magma is coming to that volcano from here in the Pacific Ocean. Magma is coming to there from the Pacific Ocean here, way down south here. Way down south in the Pacific Ocean here. There is a magma plume here, a magma plume coming from the deep part of the South Pacific here, coming from the mantle, going to all the volcanoes around the world. That magma plume is coming here through the Pacific Ocean over this volcano here. Magma is coming to that volcano right there. Okay? All kinds of earthquakes all over southern Mexico. USGS not showing one of them. Not one of them. They never do. They never do. That's sad. That's very sad. Now, I want to give you a little geography lesson here. We're talking about geology, but I want to give you a little geology lesson here as well. Yes, we talked about earthquakes here in the South Pacific. We talked about earthquakes all over the world now. All over the world. One more earthquake south of Australia. And this is going to be pertinent to what we're going to talk about right now. Okay? This is on the Antarctic Ridge here. The Antarctic Ridge here. This is the large earthquake here. 5.0 large earthquake south of Australia here on the Antarctic Ridge. This seismic energy is going to creep to the northwest here. Going to creep to the northwest. This is going to creep into the Indian Ocean here. Okay? Once it gets over here into the central mid-Indian Ocean, it's going to go north here along the mid-Atlantic Ridge, mid-Indian Ridge here, up into the Carlsberg Ridge, up here either in Saudi Arabia or into Iran. That's where this energy is going to end up, either in Saudi Arabia or in Iran. Okay? Let's talk about a little geography and volcanology here, and seismology, geology here. Okay? I'm going to talk about now earthquakes here in the Pacific and earthquakes in the Atlantic Ocean here. I'd like you to follow along with me. Please don't leave here. We had about 23 people watching a few minutes earlier. Now we have 17. That means people aren't even interested in earthquakes at all. Interesting. Very interesting. If you're not interested in earthquakes, what do you want me to talk about? I'll give you any information you want to talk about. But I'd like to know what you want me to talk about here. Okay? Right here. Right here. We have South America to the east here. We have Central America here. We have Central America here. We have Mexico. We have California, Oregon and Washington, Western Canada. We have Alaska here. We have the Kamchatka Peninsula here, where we have an earthquake south of the Kamchatka Peninsula here, the Kuril Islands. Kuril Islands. 4.4 moderate earthquake here. The Kuril Islands belong to Russia, and nobody lives in the Kuril Islands. Nobody lives in the Kuril Islands. One, it's too cold. Two, they're very tiny islands. And three, sometimes the islands get swamped by ocean water. Nobody lives there. South here. South here. Now we're talking about Japan area here. Japan area here. Right here. This earthquake is in what they call the Bonin Islands, southeast of Japan. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. Then we go further to the northwest here. This is in Yawatama, Japan. 3.2 earthquake here. Southern Japan here. Right there. Okay? This area here is called the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Pacific Ring of Fire. Now, as you can see, the USGS is only showing us 2 earthquakes here in Japan. They're wrong. They're wrong. There are 6 earthquakes here in Japan. Down here in Japan, we show you this earthquake down here to the south here. Okay? 3.2 earthquake. There's also 3.4 earthquake here. Further to the north, Tokushima, Japan. 3.2 earthquake here. Further to the northwest, Hyogo, Japan. Hyogo, Japan. 2.7 minor earthquake there. Okay? Then, off the northeast coast of Honshu, Japan. Off the northeast coast of Honshu, Japan, there's a 4.3 earthquake. Look where these earthquakes are. Look where these earthquakes are, guys. They follow the edge of the plate here. Edge of the tectonic plates here. There's a reason. There's a reason. This entire Pacific Ring of Fire is called that because it's a ring of volcanoes. Ring of volcanoes. Okay? It stretches from down here in Australia, New Zealand, Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, New Caledonia here, over here in the Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, New Guinea, Indonesia, Southeast Asia here, all the way north here to Alaska here, down here to southwestern Canada, Oregon, Washington, California here, down into Mexico, down along the western coast of South America. Ring of Fire, 25,000 mile long ring of fire. Volcanoes up and down the whole area. Volcanoes along the whole entire ring of fire. That's why they call it the Ring of Fire here. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about earthquakes in the Ring of Fire and around the world. Earthquakes can strike at any location at any time. But history shows that they can occur in the same general patterns, year after year, time after time, but principally in 3 large areas or zones of the Earth. The world's greatest earthquake belt is the Circum-Pacific Seismic Belt. The Circum-Pacific Seismic Belt. It's found along the rim of the Pacific Ocean, where 81% of our planet's largest, 81% of the planet's largest earthquakes occur. It's earned the nickname Ring of Fire. Why so many earthquakes originate in this region? This seismic belt, the Ring of Fire, exists along plate boundaries, tectonic plate boundaries, where plates of mostly oceanic crust are sinking or subducting under other area plates. Sinking or subducting under area plates, like this. I've shown you this before. One plate subducts under the other plate just like this. Okay? These are subducting plates. This Pacific Ring of Fire exists along plate boundaries, tectonic plate boundaries. Earthquakes in this area subduct for a reason. They're subduction zones. They're caused by slip between the plates. Slip between the plates and rupture within the plates. Rupture within the plates. A couple months ago, we had a Pacific plate subduct underneath obtuse plate in Russia. Subduct under the obtuse plate of Russia right here. Okay, 7.8, 8.8, 9.0 earthquake right here. 8.8, 9.0 here, I believe is a 9.2, caused by subduction. The Pacific plate subducted underneath this obtuse plate here. Okay, huge earthquake here. It was a plate rupture. That's why it was so large. It was a plate rupture here. Okay, these earthquakes are caused by plate slip and subduction or plate rupture here. Earthquakes in the Pacific Ring of Fire include a 9.5 earthquake in Chile, the Aveyah earthquake in 1960. The Aveyah earthquake in 1960 in Chile here. Right here in Chile. Okay. Also, the 9.2 Alaska earthquake, 1964. The 9.2 Alaska earthquake in 1964. Right there. Okay. The Alpide earthquake belt. Let's talk about the Alpide earthquake belt. Okay. We talked about this area's subduction in Indonesia. The Alpide earthquake belt. Okay. Sumatra, the Alpide earthquake belt here, just south and west of Sumatra, right there. Okay. This extends from Java, Indonesia to Sumatra and through the Himalaya Mountains. Through the Himalaya Mountains, like I explained before. Okay. It goes out into the Mediterranean Ocean. It's out in the Mediterranean Ocean here and out into the Atlantic Ocean as well. It goes through Europe here, out into the Atlantic Ocean here. Okay. The belt accounts for about 17% of the larger earthquakes in the world, called the Alpide belt, A-L-P-I-D-E belt. Okay. Again, it accounts for 17% of the larger earthquakes in the world, including some of the most destructive, such as the 2005 7.6 earthquake in Pakistan. The 2005 Pakistan earthquake. Right here. Okay. That 7.6 earthquake in Pakistan unalived over 80,000 people. We had a 9.1 earthquake in Java, Indonesia. Some of you remember that. Some of you remember that. Down here in the resort areas of Java, Indonesia. 9.1 earthquake causing a tsunami. That tsunami unalived 230,000 people. It unalived 230,000 people. The third prominent belt follows the submerged Mid-Atlantic Ridge. The submerged Mid-Atlantic Ridge. We talked about that just a few minutes ago. The submerged Atlantic Ridge. That Atlantic Ridge follows all the way down here from the Antarctic Ridge further north into Greenland area here and up to Svalbard. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge here. Okay? It's deep underwater. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge is far from any human development. But it is expanding. It's expanding like this. Okay? This earthquake ridge has experienced earthquake as large as a 6.9. It has experienced earthquake as large as a 6.9 earthquake. The remaining earthquakes are scattered in various areas of the world. Earthquakes in the prominent seismic zones described that we've talked about are taken for granted, but damaging earthquakes can occur outside these zones. Examples include what we talked about this past week, during this week already. We've talked about earthquakes on the East Coast. We talked about earthquakes here in the mid part of the United States here in the New Madrid area here. Talked about that last night. Earthquakes occurring over here in the Rocky Mountain region, and earthquakes here on the East Coast. Now, we also had an earthquake in Charleston, South Carolina, years ago. Large earthquake. 5.8 earthquake, 1886. However, many years elapse between such shocks. Many earthquakes elapse between such shocks. Okay? The South Pacific here. Experiences frequent earthquakes because it sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Again, the Pacific Ring of Fire is a 25,000-mile-long horseshoe-shaped region of intense tectonic plate collisions. Here. The Pacific Plate is actively subducting or diving between the Australian Plate, here, and forming deep trenches and placing massive consistent stress on the crust, leading to regular seismic activity. As of the last 2 years, USGS fails to show all the activity. Key reasons for the seismic activity here: the intense seismic activity in the South Pacific, active subduction zones. Again, the Pacific Plate deep dives under the Indo-Australian Plate along the Tonga Trench, Vanuatu, and New Zealand. Deep dives. Okay? As the oceanic plate bends and slides down into the mantle like this, it creates massive pressure, and it creates some of the deepest, most violent quakes. We've talked about these before, all kinds of times before. 7.2, 7.6 earthquake in Vanuatu, 7.2, 7.4, 7.6 in the Kermadec Islands, north of New Zealand. Why do fairly dangerous earthquakes happen so much in the Pacific, but seemingly never in the Atlantic? Japan and or the Southeast Asia region seem to get an earthquake large enough to destroy homes and severely damaging infrastructure and entire neighborhoods and communities at least once every 5 to 10 years in these areas. Unreal. These earthquakes are so strong, so dangerous, so bad that they destroy infrastructure, severely damage communities, neighborhoods, and all kinds of stuff every 5 to 10 years. Never mind Australia, New Zealand, or even Hawaii. Now, as far as I am aware of, we just don't get too many large earthquakes, at least not major ones, lately. Seemingly nearly as frequently or as badly as places such as Japan, Vietnam, or the Philippines. They've seen them. We reported on them in the past 7 years I've been active on this channel. The Ring of Fire. The region handles over 80% of the world's largest earthquakes, making the area surrounding it highly prone to natural disasters, including volcanoes. This area of the Ring of Fire entails complex tectonic boundaries. The region is not just one boundary. It involves multiple small plates and microplates, along with what they call the Conway Reef microplate, sandwiched between Australia and the Pacific plates, leading to frequent what they call back arc earthquakes, where the crust extends and breaks, calling back arc earthquakes. Okay? There are crustal settlements as well, and swarms of earthquakes. We've seen that. Earthquakes can frequently occur in swarms, like we've seen today over in Guatemala. We've seen swarms in Southeast Asia. We've seen swarms in South America, Central America, all over here. Over in North Central Italy, swarms. That happens as the crust adjusts to the intense weight and movement of nearby volcanoes. Guys. Now, I can give you a recent example. Remember just a while back, we had a 7.0 earthquake over here in Tonga? Down here in Tonga area here? That 7-point magnitude earthquake was in the Tonga Trench, occurring at a depth of 29 kilometers deep, a shallow earthquake. That earthquake resulted in the Pacific plate subducting beneath the Australian plate, subducting underneath the Australian plate just like this. The Pacific plate subducting under the Australian plate just like this, deep diving back to the mantle. Okay? These areas are all on or near plate boundaries. The vast majority of earthquakes occur along plate boundaries or in zones of deformation, where the plate deforms. The plate or earth area deforms. Okay? Now, we've seen 5 years of earthquakes greater than magnitude 5. Last 5 years of earthquakes were over magnitude 5, largely as a consequence of how plate tectonics work. Okay? Plates tend to behave mostly as rigid bodies. They behave mostly as rigid bodies without internal deformation, or with deformation which earthquakes are manifestation of results of their differential movement with respect to other tectonic plate ridges. This relatively general and without specifics, but I'd rather find this very interesting, folks. This is very interesting. Plate tectonics and earthquakes have great many details. I don't want to get into the details right now because I don't want to submerge you into a lot of stuff you might not understand. But needless to say, one plate subducts under the other just like this. That's why we've seen so many earthquakes in Indonesia. Yet USGS tends not to show any. Like today, they showed 2 earthquakes. Unreal. Now, we've had earthquakes in New Zealand as well. Okay? In New Zealand, we've had anywhere from 20 to 50 earthquakes almost every day in New Zealand. They're frequent. Also, large earthquakes north of New Zealand in the Kermadec Islands. Okay? A plate boundary again. Plate boundary. Some of these earthquakes are frequent, others are infrequent. For Australia, we have interplate events. Around Australia, we have interplate events, meaning many plates subducting. Many plates going underneath each other there in the Australian area. Associated with that are volcanoes, such as the Taupo volcano in New Zealand, the Hungatonga-Hapai volcano in Tonga, other volcanoes also in Hawaii, Other volcanoes over in Papua Indonesia, all over Indonesia itself. All the time. Volcanic activity. Volcanic eruptions cause a major larger hazard because of tsunamis, number one, and two, because of magma and lava flowing down the sides of the volcano. Okay? Tsunamis can be generated by earthquake waves or by magma beneath the surface changing the bottom of the ocean. Changing the surface of the bottom of the ocean. Okay? Now, our buddy Demon Catman over there in England. There's a reason I talked about earthquakes here in England. They rarely show earthquakes here. 2 weeks ago here in England, central England, we had a 1.7 tremor. They often don't even show tremors at all. But we showed a 1.7 tremor here in central England. Okay? Let's talk about this for a minute. Okay? Over here in that area, yes, we do have earthquakes there, but rarely. Rarely, guys. This area very rarely has earthquakes, but they are possible. They're possible because they're on the edge of the plate over here, on the eastern side of the Atlantic Ocean. Ireland or Portugal, Spain, France, Africa, North and South America, Iceland, Greenland, to my knowledge, have earthquakes. We've shown those to you when they've happened. So in this very wide, huge area of behaviors, it's helpful to consider that a tectonic plate map we've shown you here shows Europe a little bit better right here. Okay? We're highlighting interplate boundaries here. We're highlighting interplate boundaries here. I'm trying here. I want to continue to show you what's going on here. This is huge, guys. It doesn't stop. Ireland, same deal as Britain. Middle of a plate. Interplate events are possible, but are very infrequent. Portugal over here. Portugal over here on the edge of Spain. Western edge of Spain. Portugal has more activity and has hosted several large earthquakes in recorded history. And it's tectonically complicated. The 1755 earthquake may have been generated on a fault that is effectively the beginning of the subduction zone. The fault here in Portugal was largely a result of subduction earthquakes because it was on the edge of the subduction zone. Unreal. Now, we put this in the same category as Ireland or Britain. Doesn't really make sense because, again, it's on the edge of the plate. It's on the edge of the plate, guys. Spain, similar to Portugal, has earthquakes in some zones of continuing deformation, meaning ground change, ground movement, albeit slower than other places, happens. France, we showed you infrequent earthquakes in France as of late. They happen all the time. Tremors and minor earthquakes, mostly. France. One of the Pyrenees. More importantly, the Alps we talked about today. The Alps in general are still partially tectonically active. Partially tectonically active. And they're capable of generating earthquakes, though it's not as tectonically active as, for example, the Pyrenees. Africa. Good old Africa here. Good old Africa. North Africa has somewhat infrequent earthquakes, mainly within old mountain belts Again, tectonic plates, the atlas or anti-atlas, which are also the Atlantic side, but are mostly quiescent, but they're still deforming anyway. East Africa has earthquakes all the time. We've shown you earthquakes in Ethiopia. They happen infrequently. The East Africa Rift Zone. The East Africa Rift Zone right here around Ethiopia, okay, has earthquakes, okay? Has earthquakes all the time, specifically within the Eastern Africa Rift, a boundary between the Nubian and Somalian plates. Go figure. Normal fault earthquakes like these in the ear, what they call the ear, tend to be lower in magnitude than subduction zone events. Lower in magnitude. We've seen these earthquakes as large as a 4.5, 4.6 so far. Tectonic plate boundary earthquakes are larger, 5.0, 7.5 mostly in magnitude. Happens. North America, different story. North America, guys, we've been talking about North America quite a bit. Canada and the United States and Alaska here. North America. The entire west coast is a plate boundary. California and Alaska are some of the most seismically active places in the world. There have been multiple events in our lifetime so far. Northridge, 1994. 2002 Denali. 2002 Denali up here to the north here in central Alaska. The Loma Prieta quake in 1989 in San Francisco. The 1964 Good Friday quake in Alaska. The second largest event ever recorded. The 1964 Good Friday earthquake in Alaska. The East Coast of North America is a middle of a plate area here. Middle of a plate area here. Hence the dichotomy between the plates. South America we talked about. We talk about South America quite frequently. Again, they don't show any earthquakes here. The entire west coast of South America is a set of plate boundaries, and almost all the entire margin is extremely active on the west area. Chile routinely has massive earthquakes, including the largest earthquake ever recorded. As with North America, the East Coast is the middle of a plate in South America. Iceland. Iceland, we've talked about this week. So far this week. Good old Iceland here. Okay? Iceland has earthquakes all the time. But most of those earthquakes are magmatic, in other words, volcanic, like in Hawaii, or associated with normal faulting. Normal faulting. Why? Because the mid-Atlantic plate goes right straight through the center of Iceland. Okay? Normal activity. So again, these areas seem to be smaller in magnitude so far than subduction zone earthquakes. Greenland. Greenland here, guys. We don't talk enough about Greenland here. Greenland. Greenland is in the middle of a plate. It's pretty quiet, typically like Ireland or Britain. Now, as far as I'm aware, we don't just get earthquakes, or at least major ones, seemingly nearly as frequently as badly places like Japan, Vietnam, or even the Philippines. Everything we talked about are specifics, where a lot of the answers are in the middle of a plate. A lot of the answers are earthquakes in the middle of the plate. Earthquakes are rare in some places. The final piece is this. We've hinted at it a few times. What we've talked about so far is plate boundary earthquakes. Plate boundary earthquakes are capable of generating extremely large earthquakes. Extremely large earthquakes. Earthquake sizes and scales with an area of a fault that can rupture in one event, such as the San Andreas Fault. One event, such as what's happened along the Hayward Fault in San Francisco. One event. Okay? Now, generally, larger earthquakes have larger possible events along subduction zones. Subduction zones such as the Cascadia earthquake, such as the earthquakes we've had in Indonesia, Tonga, Hawaii. Yeah, we had them in Hawaii. Okay? Now, subduction events can generate very large events, very deadly larger events, upwards of 7.8 or larger. They can exceed 8.0 in large earthquakes. We're going to see that at Cascadia. Normal faults tend to be very angular like this. Not very continuous, but angular. They only span a short distance, relatively short distance. Okay, normal faults. Normal faults don't tend to generate very large earthquakes, however. Normal faults. Going back to the earthquake distributions from the very beginning, you'll see that there are indeed quite a few earthquakes along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. We've shown you a lot of earthquakes along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge here. They're infrequent. There's a fault line through Britain, the UK, through the UK here. Okay. The fault is mostly inactive. Even through plate boundary faults, they don't remain active forever. These faults can literally abandon themselves, become inactive faults. That means there was a reorganization of fault boundaries. The faults move, the plates move, the plates merge. They sew themselves together just like this. Okay, they sew themselves together. That creates a huge interest in faults. Where these plates are sewn themselves together is a fault in and of itself. Okay, they suture themselves together. Those areas are what they call inactive faults, but they're still faults. They can still generate small earthquakes. Okay, those sutured areas represent zones of weaknesses where there can be interplate earthquakes anyway. Faults, even plate boundary faults, don't remain active forever. They can be abandoned where there's reorganization of plate motion. Where there's a reorganization of plate motion where they suture themselves or sew themselves together, which can happen for a variety of reasons. Former plate boundary faults between plates that collide. Plates literally collide like this. They tend to eventually sew themselves together or suture themselves together. As the name implies, two formally distinct plates are sutured, joined along a plate boundary. They cease to be two individual plates. They behave as one plate. Okay? Sutured plates rarely are very inactive. Rarely, but they are inactive to a point. They can still generate an earthquake, but not very, very actively. Okay? Those sutured areas still represent zones of weaknesses, or there can be areas where interplate earthquakes can still occur. Does anybody have any questions about earthquakes? I know I've gone through them quite quickly. My style of earthquake questions. I have no problem taking questions at all. Okay? I have no problems taking questions about earthquakes or anything else at all. I'm very happy to do that. Any questions for anybody? Any questions, guys? No earthquake questions or anything? I know I've given you a lot of information here. That's because some people had questions. I've gotten questions on my email, and I have no problem answering questions. But in this case, I got quite a few questions from people about earthquakes around the world. I want to touch on it and tell you what happens and why it happens. That was my discussion tonight. Okay? I pretty much covered around the world. Okay? Before I leave you tonight. It's already just after 6:30. I want to leave you with something more. Something more. A spiritual thought, if you will. Okay? I think this is also necessary. This past 2 weeks, we've specifically been talking about Jesus Christ because we're coming on Easter, whereas Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for the world, for everybody that's ever lived or will live on this earth. Okay? Tonight I'm going to talk about Jesus Christ as a radiant Lord. Jesus Christ's light shines on in the darkness, for the darkness never overpowers it. It never will. Yet when multiple problems are closing in even on me, okay, the light of Jesus Christ goes further. The light of his presence shines through the darkness. Even though some people see a dim light, it's still light shining in the darkness, waiting for us to reach out to him. Whenever I'm feeling distant from Christ, I try to stop everything and talk with him about my problems, about my feelings, what I'm going through, my family's going through. I ask specific questions of Jesus Christ. How can I get through it? What do I need to do? Please reveal what you think I need to do and how I need to do it. I stay on my knees. I literally stay on my knees, brothers and sisters, to get answers. No matter how much darkness we see in the world, around any of us, Christ is a light and life of the world. His light continues to shine on each of us, for it is infinitely more powerful than anything else, because he belongs to me, he belongs to you, he belongs to each one of us. His light shines not only upon me, but within me and within each of you. I live like you do, right in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation. This gives us an opportunity to shine as a light into the world. Christ wants us to shine as a light into the world as well. To do this, we have to take time to hook up with Christ. We have to take time to bask in his radiant presence. We have to ask him to be with us, to transform each one of us, you and me, into his likeness. You and I are sinful. We're weak. But as long as we live in his ways, in ways that reflect on his glory, the Lord will bless us. I promise you that. I promise you that. Brothers and sisters, I love Jesus Christ. And I love you as well. I want to give you this information because it can benefit you as well. Like I said, we just went through Easter. But Christ lives today. His light shines on each of us. I hope and pray that each of us can take his light upon us and shine his glory for him. Shine to our neighbors and our friends and our family and bring them with us into heaven as examples of him. Guys, if you want to help support us here on our channel, you can do so by going to the bottom of this program here, underneath this video here. You see our 2 PayPal locations scrolling across the bottom of your screen. You can send us donations to our PayPal. We greatly appreciate it to keep this program on the air. Also, you'll see our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. Send us questions, send us comments, even send us information on what you'd like to see on this program, and we'll do it, just like I showed you tonight. Also, you see our mailing address, our post office box, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. The other day, we received a letter from Patricia here. She sent us a note here. Hi, thanks for all you do. God bless EMA crew and family. Thank you, Patty. She sent us a small donation, which we really appreciate. Patty, thank you so much. I've been talking about this since we got it on Monday. God bless you, Patty. I want to thank you all for helping me support this channel. We really appreciate it. May God bless you. May God be with each and every one of you. I want to thank our moderators as well. Renee, Rich Quake, Demon Catman, Heather, Hurricane Heather's here. Thank you all for being here, guys. We love you. We respect you. We believe in you. That's why we're still in the air, because of all of you. I want to thank all of our EMA family as well. Thank you for attending this channel. Thank you for sharing it all with your family, your friends, people you work with, and even your associates that you work with on social media. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to burp on you. But people you have associate with on social media, thank you for doing it. Share a program far and wide, guys. We appreciate it. Tomorrow we're going to specifically talk about the Pacific Northwest. Earthquakes on land, earthquakes at the volcanoes. We're going to talk about specific volcanoes as well. God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. We love you. We really do. God be with you until we meet again. See you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love. See you soon. Good night.
Here at Emergency Management Associates, we're dedicated and true, bringing you the essential knowledge, helping you see things through. From disaster preparedness to navigating recovery's embrace, we're here to guide you in every unpredictable time and place. We break down the complex, make it easy to grasp and absorb, sharing strategies for safety, the vital lessons you can't afford to hoard, So thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your sub. You're a key part of our growing family, a member of our knowledge club. With every like, every share, and every comment you send our way, our critical message spreads further, helping more people every single Together we're stronger and more prepared. That's the truth we all abide. You help us build resilience with nowhere for uncertainty to hide. Your engagement truly inspires us. Your feedback acts as a guiding light, helping us continually grow and making our channel's future bright. We're always learning, always striving to be better. Bring you the most up-to-date information, no matter the weather. Emergency Management Associates is here for you now and forever, it's true. Keep watching, keep learning, because we truly appreciate all that you do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.